with my sister member, Ann Kensel. Together, we will be asking the questions and fielding questions from the audience. We're very pleased that we have our esteemed guests on the panel. We have Provost Jonathan Wickert from Iowa State University, John Hela, Mayor, City of Ames, Robert Denson, President, Des Moines Area Community Colleges, Amber Deerdorf, Vice President of Operations at Mary Greeley Medical Center, Jeff Hawkins, Associate Superintendent of Ames Community Schools, and Latifa Faisal, Story County Supervisor. A little bit of housekeeping. Bathrooms are located. If you go down the back hall to the left, you'll see them there. Also, we ask that you silence your cell phones so we don't have interruptions. For our presentation, each speaker will begin with having 2 minutes for opening remarks prior to our starting questions. Mr. John Klaus is our timekeeper, and he's a member of the League, and he'll inform speakers when their time is up. John, you want to wave? Okay, so we ask our speakers to watch him. After the introductions, we'll enter into a question and answer portion. If there is additional time for questions, we will see questions from the audience. Each participant on our panel will answer each question, but they may feel free to pass if they feel the question doesn't pertain to them or to their institution. Okay, I turn it over to you, Lynn.
Okay, we will start with introductions, and we'll start with Provost Wickert. 2 minutes, please.
I'll do it in less than 2 minutes, I promise. Well, good morning, everybody. On behalf of President Wendy Winterstein, it's just a delight to be with you here today and represent the university. She is on travel for university business and was unable to be here today. I just commend everybody, the League, and everybody here today, my fellow panelists. I always enjoy the State of the Community luncheon and the opportunity to discuss critical issues facing our community, but I think equally important to celebrate fantastic partnerships that we have between all the organizations represented up here and many others that are not up here on the stage. You know, a lot of times we kind of focus on our issues and problems, but just recognizing the wonderful collaborations we have and the strong community we have here. This doesn't exist everywhere, and I can tell you that kind of from the university standpoint, we greatly value the town-gown relationship, and we'll be talking more about partnerships, I'm sure, later on. But appreciate the opportunity to be here today, and thank you for investing your time.
Thank you. Next, we'll have Mayor John Hela.
Well, thank you, and I would just echo what Provost Wickert said. It's an honor to participate in this event. I always look forward to it. This is the only time of the year that we actually get all of us at the same location and conversations, and I would just say is that every one of the panelists up here are trusted partners with the City of Ames, and it's truly an honor to work alongside. And actually, Jonathan stole some of my thunders, but I'll go ahead and I'll continue anyway.
I was reading off your
Oh, yeah, stop that anyway. And I also want to thank the Women League of Voters and United Way and KHOI for sponsoring this event. It takes a lot of organization, and thank you for doing that. So just some observations to start with. Our community continues to be really strong. We're not perfect. We always have things to work on, but we are really strong. And from a personal interaction standpoint, it's encouraging to see how people continue to work together in our community. We may not always agree with everybody or with one another, but we certainly are working together. With respect to our built environment, we have a lot of exciting projects that are in the planning stages and or under construction. The City of Ames is in really good fiscal condition. And then also, as Dr. Wickert indicated, you know, the collaboration with valued partners is really helping us to move things forward, and I look forward to hearing what they have to say. Now, we do have some challenges in the community, as every community does. The first is mental health is significantly and adversely affecting many in our community. We have workforce shortages. That's no surprise to anyone in the business community. Certainly an inadequate availability and variety of housing. managing escalating capital projects. The City of Ames is no different than anyone else. A lot of our projects are over budget. Wisely planning for growth and arriving at a workable, fiscally responsible, and achievable climate action plan. So thank you for all coming, as Dr. Wicker said, and I look forward to our conversation today.
Thank you, Mayor. And next, Amber Deerdorf, Mary Greeley Medical Center.
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Amber Deerdorf. I am one of the vice presidents at Mary Greeley Medical Center, and I've been at the organization for over 20 years, and I'm here representing our organization. Brian Dieter is also traveling today, and he sends his regards. Really an honor to be here and tell our story as a medical center in this fabulous community. I do want to thank League of Women Voters, KHOI, and then certainly United Way of Story County for hosting this important event. If, when you were eating, you might have seen one of our top 10 videos right behind me. We were scrolling through that, so you caught several things on there. I want to call out two things. First and foremost is, a deep breath. 2022, as a medical center, we finally feel like we're getting back to a little bit of new normal. So the pandemic is still upon us, and yes, we still have COVID-positive patients within our emergency department every day. We typically have at least one patient admitted in an inpatient unit, but man, things have changed. We know how to safely care for these patients, and the patients generally are less sick than they were back in 2020. So you just feel this palpable movement in the organization that, hey, we can start focusing in on other things besides just the pandemic. So 2022 is certainly a year to celebrate. And I also want to call out some pretty tremendous things that we're doing at the medical center that are going to greatly impact this community as it relates to our capital planning. We will be opening up an inpatient behavioral health unit this spring with a greater capacity to care for patients within our community with mental health issues. We will be holding open houses later on, so please keep your eye out March, April for those open houses. And then we're also opening an ambulatory surgery center within our community, first of its kind within our region, and this is our ability to serve you better in an outpatient setting. So I'm very thrilled to be here and excited to talk with you about more of our partnership endeavors.
Thank you. Rob Denson, DMAC.
Well, it's great to be here. Like the other speakers, this is one of the events that we really look forward to every year. I think there's something very special about Iowa. I'm the first native-born Iowan to be president of DMAC. I've been president for 20 years now. Actually, the guy that was the consultant that hired me, Larry Evers, is here. But he owed me back in 1967. He didn't hire me for a job in higher ed, so he is the first person to turn me down for a job, but he made up for it. I've gotten 2 presidencies that he consulted with. DMAC serves about 34,000 credit students, 22,000 non-credit students. We have 12 sites throughout central Iowa. We're one of the 15 community colleges in Iowa. And what I always say about Iowa and everybody on this platform, you know, anybody in leadership in Iowa, we know who they are, we're all friends, and we pretty much have a common mission to help the state and particularly to help the students and individuals who want to do better. And the opportunities are out there, as we've said. We partnered with everybody at this table, and we're always looking for more. DMAC is very proud of the relationship we have with Iowa State. We've got the admissions partnership program where a student can start at DMAC knowing that they want to go to Iowa State. They can live in the Iowa State dorms, go to a game, you know, pay an extra fee and go to games and everything. But we've had a great relationship, and again, it's all in helping students be successful and creating the easiest possible pathway for them. So it's great to be here in 30 seconds. Thank you.
Thank you, President Denson. Jeff Hawkins, Ames Community School District.
Well, good morning, everyone. I know that maybe to begin the day, everyone here, including myself, thought Dr. Lawson would be at the table here today. Wouldn't maybe have chosen the hoodie had I known I'd be here. Unfortunately, Dr. Lawson has had a family need that has come up that he's rightfully prioritizing right now. So my thoughts are with him, and I have prepared myself this morning to have good conversation with you. I would just reiterate some of the things we've already heard at the table this morning. These partnerships are essential to the effective working of Ames Community School District. I really value the work that we've already done this year with these partners and the work that I know that we'll continue to do. As you heard Amber say, we too in the school system feel like we're kind of at a whew, all right. We got through that time period, and we can reshift our focus. In fact, next week we'll begin a process of huge collaboration around developing a strategic plan that will help shape the vision for our work for the next 5 or so years. And so, again, I'm excited for the conversation here. I appreciate the opportunity to represent the district, and again, I apologize if my lack of dress is sending the wrong. Our desire to be here and our desire to continue partnerships is critically important to us.
Well, thank you for the sartorial explanation. Next, Latifa Faisal, Chair, Story County Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. And I just want to reiterate everything everyone has already said. Thank you to the League of Women Voters, KHOI, and United Way of Story County for hosting this event. I know we all look forward to it every single year, and it's such a great opportunity, again, to talk about the partnerships that we have, what we've accomplished this year and what we're hoping to accomplish, and the way that all of those activities and goals intersect, because nothing happens in a bubble, none of us work in a bubble, and without the partnerships that we have here in Story County, we would not be able to accomplish half of what we do accomplish. So looking forward to the conversation today.
Linda.
Okay, thank you very much, panelists. We will begin with our first question. What are the primary opportunities and challenges facing your organization at the present time? So we're asking about opportunities and challenges. And we'll start question 1 with Mayor Hala.
Well, thank you. And you may get tired of hearing this, but I don't take it for granted. And that is, the first opportunity is just continuing to partner with all the individuals here at the table. I have the privilege of being involved at a pretty high level with the Iowa League of Cities. And I talk to people around the state, mayors and city council members. This is unique. We have the ability here to partner and work with the university, with DMACC. Dr. Denson came and made an amazing presentation last year in terms of what DMACC is doing and how it's benefiting the community. Working with the hospital. Story County, I mean, it's really amazing what we are doing and how we're partnering, working together, and the conversations that we're having. And certainly with the Ames School District too. So I kind of joke that I kind of have the trifecta. You know, I'm really fortunate. We have a tremendous city council that works. We don't always agree, but the point is, my metric for do we work together well is not do we always agree. It's more or less, are we having the same common vision, that is making Ames, you know, better and stronger and a phenomenal place to live. So that's the first opportunity. Secondly, you have a lot of exciting developments and construction projects going on in the built environment. We got the link we look forward to. I call it the nuclear wasteland. You all have seen it on Lincoln Way, essentially, where everything's just kind of scraped off. We're hoping to see that come through. The new Stephen L. Shanker Plaza downtown, the Fitch Family Indoor Aquatic Center, the ISU Research Park continues to expand, and just a lot of discussions regarding Sci-Town and also the Baker subdivision. Challenges, and actually the challenges are from outside at times, and one is the state legislature. They are really ramped up, and they kind of have us in their crosshairs, and so I won't go into great detail. If you want to know more, come see me afterwards. I'll spend an hour or two telling you about that. Communication with constituents. We are always looking for better ways to communicate and hear back from constituents, but it is a challenge. It's really changed a lot. We used to have newspaper, media, newspaper, radio, TV. Now we have social media, varieties of that. And we're always looking for variety, looking to improve the quality and variety and price points of housing, and that is important in terms of attracting, retaining workforce.
Thank you. All right, same question, Vice President Deardorff.
Yes, thank you. So The two things I really want to focus on, challenges that we're seeing right now within our field is certainly, like most industries, staffing. Healthcare is difficult right now. I believe we took an especially hard hit during the pandemic. So in June of 2020, we thought we saw a tremendous amount of our workforce leave. At that time, there was about 975,000 openings in the US for healthcare workers. Jump forward about 2 years, we're at 2.1 openings right now, 2.1 million openings right now. It's unsustainable. Luckily, within this community and within our hospital, we have been able to recruit fantastic staff, so we are less burdened than other healthcare providers, even very near to us, but it is impacting us greatly. And so when the Des Moines hospitals close over 300 beds because they cannot staff it, that directly impacts us and all of you, because all those patients have to go somewhere. And so we need to work collaboratively as a healthcare community to right this ship, because it is difficult. Part of the reason healthcare is hard, so the other challenge that we're really seeing right now, and Mayor Hala already alluded to it, is the mental health capacities within our community. Our patients are sicker, and a day does not go by where our staff don't get hit, slapped, kicked, pinched. And that's not okay. And this has increased in volume over the past several years. And so one of the opportunities we see is working with all these organizations to make sure that we're able to recruit those qualified staff, that we're able to get into the school districts at a very early age and influence some of these kiddos to see healthcare is awesome. And no, you don't just have to be a nurse or a doctor. You like IT? Come into IT. So it has been just a great collaboration with these individuals up here to hopefully correct where this industry is going.
Thank you. President Denson, same question.
Yeah, our basic challenges, and it's been referred to, is meeting the workforce needs of all of our partners. We've got about 220 different programs at DMACC. Every one of our programs has an advisory committee of the businesses that hire students out of those programs. So we're teaching the right competencies at the right time, but we just need more individuals getting into the pipeline so that they can get these great jobs. So that's our biggest challenge. Our biggest opportunity, 40% of Iowa high school graduates do not go on to college. I mean, that seems insane in the state of Iowa. Between 2012 and 2017, the percentage of men graduating from high school and going to college dropped 7% to 54.5%. Women dropped 3% to 73%. We just need to engage these individuals. We know that more than 60% of the good jobs in Iowa require no more than a 2-year degree. So if we can, in the state, I know Senator Cornbach's here, the state has done a great job of helping provide different kinds of funding and policies that allow us to give a lot of support to individuals to get into programs in a relatively quick amount of time at a very low cost. Last Dollar Scholarship funds over 58 different programs, so before a student takes out a loan, the state will step in and pay their tuition. In the last 2 years, we've had 2,886 students just at DMACC draw down over $7.2 million. Now, our main strength is that we are managed by a board of trustees, true local control. Cheryl Langston is one of my board members, has been on the board for several years, and really does a great job making sure that we stay connected, not only with the Ames community, but throughout our 5,620 square mile district. So we're very proud of what we do. We appreciate all the support from the legislature, and we're looking to get more of these individuals who are not engaged in training to a better job, getting them in. And an exciting thing from the census, we see Iowa is becoming more and more diverse. That is extremely exciting. Our campus in downtown Des Moines, it's the first college or university campus. It's a majority students of color, and we're just finishing a $25 million addition there. So we're great and happy to be here.
Thank you, President Jensen. Okay, Associate Superintendent Hawkins.
Again, similar to what other panelists have shared, I think our greatest opportunity is the fact that every day we get to influence, shape, and help grow the youth of our community, right? The fact that we get kids coming to us every day that we get to help educate, shape, to help grow them and hopefully grow our community in the future. That's our greatest opportunity. We're blessed to have a wonderful staff of EAs, teachers, administrators, district office staff, and a board of directors that are all focused on improving student achievement. Some of our challenges are that some of that student achievement shows that not every child is experiencing our system in the same way, and not every child is experiencing those great results that some children are. And so we continually work towards improving systems and figuring out how we can make changes with what we do as adults to get those same great results for kids. As you've heard mentioned by other panelists, some of those staffing areas are concerns for us, particularly when it comes to custodial, maintenance, and our EA, our educational assistant supports for students in our classrooms. Those jobs have been harder to fill than many others. I don't know if you noticed, but over the last several years, many communities, including Ames Community School District, have had situations where teachers have stepped away from the job mid-year. Sometimes leaders have stepped away from their job mid-year. Those present challenges. Again, as I've heard other folks say, we've been impacted less by that than some other places near us, but those are still challenges for us to overcome. But continuing to work with these partners to strive for the best for those kids is a great opportunity and will continue to be our challenge.
Thank you. Okay. Supervisor Faisal, same question.
Yeah, I think, so last year when I was able to speak at this event, I started by saying our challenges, I feel like, are also our greatest opportunities. It's just that some of them are a little bit easier to dance with than others. So some of our challenges are making sure that we have broadband access across our county and that all of our residents have the same level of service regardless of where they live. That is definitely a challenge that we are running headfirst towards. No easy answers, but that is definitely a challenge and an opportunity to really make life better for everyone who lives in Story County. Another challenge would be a countywide transportation plan. I know the league did their own study on what does transportation look like around the county. We've got great public transportation in the city of Ames, but if you live on the outskirts or you live outside of Ames, it's a very different experience. So how do we meet the needs that are in our surrounding communities and make sure that if you live in Colo, you can still make it to the services, the amazing services that are available just 10, 15, 20 miles away. Water quality is a big challenge. How do we connect our landowners to the right conservation plan, and how do we then connect them to the right funding and make sure that that's sustainable for them? Story County does have a watershed coordinator. We are very fortunate that we have 3 people on the board that recognize the importance of water quality and funding those positions. Time. So rising costs are also another challenge, but I will stop.
Thank you, Supervisor. Okay, ISU Provost Wickert.
Well, thank you. I'd really just point to 2 items that I would put in both the category of challenge and opportunity. The first for us would be enrollment management at the university in sort of the post-pandemic environment, and also with respect to changing demographics nationally and in the Midwest, both the number of college-going young people and also the likelihood that they're going to pursue higher education. So this has really been a priority of President Winterstein the past several years. I can tell you in the past 2 years, our non-resident enrollment of our freshman class has gone up by over 30%. Same with international students, has gone up over 30%. We've developed a new marketing campaign, recruiting marketing campaign. It used to be the adventure campaign. Well, in post-pandemic world, young people really don't want an adventure anymore. So we're responsive to that. We've doubled the size of our recruiting team. And you're going to see, innovation and entrepreneurship, creativity really as a key message coming out of the university. So there's a lot that we're doing on that front. Another component of enrollment management is actually good news, and that's that we have fewer fifth-year seniors at the university now compared to previously. we've set a record on time to degree, on lowering our time to degree. So although that means enrollment goes down a little bit, it goes down for good reason, because these seniors are getting out, more of them are getting out in 4 years. And we're delighted, to be the university that enrolls the most Iowa community college transfers, to be the destination of choice for students from DMACC. Iowa State University enrolls more Iowa community college transfers than any university in the world. And we're delighted by that partnership. The second challenge/opportunity that I'd highlight is really kind of at a more higher level, and that's telling the story about the intrinsic value of education, and telling the story about the intrinsic value of higher education. For all of our lives, American higher education system has been the envy of the world. That's why we attract so many international students and students from around the country. And being out there advocating for the importance of education for a skilled workforce, for economic development, to have informed, critically thinking citizens at the K-12 system and community colleges, public universities and private colleges and universities, I think is a real critical topic.
Okay, for our second question, what achievements by your organization do you want to highlight? And we'll start with Vice President Deardorff.
Yes, thank you. I have two that I would like to highlight today. The first one is our ability to recruit and our new, or enhanced, I should say, partnerships with our school systems that we see up here. So as I mentioned, the pandemic did throw us for a little loop, but I'm happy to say that we are weathering this storm, and much of it is our ability to keep our staff engaged. They're doing great things, but it's also growing our internship programs and the ability to recruit students into our medical center. So prior to the pandemic, we were pretty happy when we had 200 students in our facility learning from our staff, being part of our programs. That was 200 students that we could hopefully convert to full-time employees once they graduated. Right now, we have over 700 students within our building, and that's because of the work that these organizations have done. They've leaned in, and it's really that cooperation between the two. So if DMACC comes to us and say, we want more students, we don't have the staff, well, we have RNs. Can we help you, DMACC, on getting some of these students into our facility? They can be the clinical preceptors, and then they still get that experience for the college and the student, and we hopefully get those students to convert to employees in the future. So it's been a real win-win collaboration there. And then the second thing I want to highlight is our lab. So it's really the unsung hero of the pandemic. Everyone thinks of physicians and nurses in the pandemic. The lab, they recently won Medical Lab of the Year by a very prestigious national magazine, the Medical Lab Observer. And it's one of those things, we need to shout this from the rooftop. We have a state-of-the-art lab within our community that is being recognized on this national level. So we're very proud of the work that they did during the pandemic.
Thank you. Mr. Hawkins, same question.
Sure, thank you. So there's lots of achievements and accomplishments that I'd love to have the time to highlight. So I'll begin with the accomplishment that we will start going through on Monday and will be wrapped up as we get to June, and that will be that strategic plan that is collaboratively developed with our staff and our community, with representation from partnerships here as well as in our community. That will be a really critical piece to providing direction for our system that we currently do not have. It will be absolutely essential in helping us narrow down what's most important. So that's an accomplishment to come, but it begins really soon. I think everyone that I've talked to, and certainly I see this in our staff and students, are so proud of the new high school that has been constructed. It's just a masterpiece, and I know people, not only does it look great for kids, but I know they're feeling good. I just had the opportunity to sit with students this last week and have some conversations, and they described how it feels to go to school in such a wonderful facility, and it's just a great accomplishment. We have kids doing individual great things. We have groups of students being awarded the Outstanding Youth Group Award from the Story County Alliance for Philanthropy. We have teachers who are being recognized by NASA. Katrina Williams was selected as one of the members of the UAG who will serve on a Biden-Harris administration to maintain robust and responsible U.S. space enterprise. So teacher awards, students award, club awards, our physical space, the vision for our system. There's a lot to be excited about for our district, and I feel very fortunate to be able to be a part of it.
Thank you. President Denson.
Yeah, just four things very quickly. I mentioned earlier our partnerships with business. In many ways, we act like a business. Last year, we were named by Forbes magazine as the #1 employer in the state of Iowa. We're the first college or university in any of the 50 states to be named #1. Principal was #4. John Deere was #5. State of Iowa was #6. I mean, who pays attention to numbers? But we're very proud of that relationship. Transportation Security Administration. I mean, we're a relatively strong community college right here in the center of Iowa, but the TSA, those friendly people at the airport, they came to us in 2011, wanted us to create a Homeland Security program for the local screeners. We put it online in 2014, 2017. The head of the TSA flies in, summons us to the airport, tells us there are 80 colleges and universities across the country doing TSA Homeland Security training, but he was so happy with what DMAC did, they fired 78 of them, gave us 36 states, 220 airports, 22,000 agents to train, so we got 36% of the country, which was pretty cool until 2019 when they fired the other one. And now we've got all 50 states, 440 airports, 44,000 agents to train. And not only does the TSA pay for the Homeland Security certificate, if the agent wants to go ahead and get their 2-year degree, TSA will pay for their 2-year degree online at DMAC. And last May, we had a graduate from every state in the union for the first time. And we had a young man drive in from Baltimore and another one from Texas just to go through graduation. Third, oh, you're taking my time. This guy's tough. Third, last year Google picked us as one of 2 community colleges in the United States to pilot their software engineering certificate, which is a great program that they're launching, a great mentorship. So 20 of our IT students not only got the software engineering certificate free, Google paid them $5,000 each to go through it. So Google will be flying in next month to have a kind of a celebration of the success of that program. And lastly, Amazon picked DMAC as their first education partner in the state of Iowa, providing free education to their associates.
Wow. So next time you have to take your shoes off in line, don't grumble, think DMAC. Okay. Supervisor Faisal.
Yeah, see, that's why this is such a great event. Wow, that's awesome. So some of the achievements of the county, we were able to complete a greenhouse gas inventory for our county operations, and we're working on a climate action plan. That was a big box that we got to check off. We completed the Story County housing study and now have a housing action plan that we believe we have a contract in place for. We'll be working with the Mid-Iowa Planning Alliance to really take that action plan and run. We also have different items that are part of that action plan that are part of our planning and development's work plan for the year. So really excited to see some movement happening with our housing action plan. The Headwaters of the South Skunk Management Plan is now complete. That was something that if Supervisor Merkin were here, she would be up here jumping up and down. It was her project, and she's very proud. That was a lot of work. That's another example of cooperation between multiple counties and organizations. So it's good to have that accomplishment. Let's see, ARPA. We've spent a lot of time managing the American Rescue Plan Act dollars. We've got many contracts out. We're still working on a few of them, but really excited to start hearing those reports coming in from the amazing projects that came forward to use those dollars for. So I see several people here in the group that are using some of those American Rescue Plan Act dollars. It's a very exciting opportunity. Yeah, I'm going to stop now.
Thank you, Supervisor. Provost Wickert.
Thank you. The one achievement I'd really highlight has to do with the university's research mission. I spoke a little earlier about our education mission and our students, But I think it's important to understand that Iowa State University is a research-intensive university, and the innovation of our faculty and staff and student researchers is very significant. You know, one measure of that is last year we set a record for external research funding of $284 million. What that means is that's an investment by federal agencies, state agencies, companies, foundations, an investment in the ideas coming out of the university. And to put that in scale, $284 million coming in, you know, that pays the salaries of faculty and staff, it pays for students, they buy homes, they rent apartments, they buy cars, they go to the grocery store. So that's really external money that's coming into our community. We typically think about the end of the innovation chain when you buy an iPhone, or you put gas or ethanol in your car, or solar cells on your house, or batteries in your electric vehicle. But all of that is enabled by fundamental research that takes place at universities like Iowa State University. And it's really accelerated at a place like Iowa State. We punch above our weight, you know, nationally when it comes to research productivity. And it's really accelerated by collaborations we have. Iowa State University manages one of the 14 national laboratories of the Department of Energy. It's the only national laboratory that is managed by a university and physically located on the campus of the university. No other university can say that. And so faculty and staff and students all flow between the DOE labs and the university. Same thing with the USDA, our partnership with the USDA labs. And the Iowa State University Research Park, of course, employs 2,300 people, over 200 student interns. 88 startup companies have received almost $50 million in the past 6 years. So those are great collaborations that enhance the research mission and really the stature of the university and build the economy of Ames and Story County.
Thank you, Provost. Mayor Hala.
I'm going to highlight three things. First of all, I can't be prouder than be associated with the City of Ames. We have over 600 full-time staff, and I think when we have part-time, we have over 1,200. But I always like to tell the story. If you're not thinking about it, it means they're doing a really good job. We have people out fixing water main breaks in the middle of winter. I wouldn't want to be down in the ground when it's frozen, dealing with water main breaks. We have people who are plowing the snow. Yes, I know they didn't do a very good job on your street. Talk to me later. But the bottom line is they are out there working, hard. We got new utilities, new street repairs. The point is that all that's going on in the background, and we just kind of take it for granted. So I think that's just it's an achievement that keeps on going on. It starts at the top, and we have great leadership from that standpoint. Secondly, I understand no one likes paying property taxes. No one likes seeing property taxes, go up. Ames community has the second lowest levy rate in the state for peer cities, and I think potentially we are the second lowest in the state. The general levy rate is capped at $8.10 per thousand. Ames is about $5.70. Partly because you all voted years and years ago for the 1 cent sales tax. 60% of that goes in to reduce our levy rate, which is about $1.70. So if we didn't have that, we'd be, instead of at $5.70, we'd be at basically $7.40. So that helps. There are so many cities that are at $8.10. That's because of fiscal management and people trying to deliver exceptional service, at good value. And third is just building partnerships. I keep on harping on this. Just two quick examples. I just want to commend the Mary Greeley Foundation. They help fund, to get started going, RPAC, which is Alternative Response to Community Policing. It's a social worker and it's an EMT that goes out, not initially, but it'll basically be dispatched as needed. And they have already had, it keeps on going up, but in the last 4 or 5 months, they have been going to many visits instead of having a uniformed officer going there. And they have been dealing with suicides. They have been dealing with lots of issues that really has been not escalated because of someone in a uniform. And then community conversations on mental health. For those who know me, it is a passion of mine. It's a big issue, but it's through working together with the hospital, Iowa State, in particular student health, the school district, and other partners, just creating conversations around suicide. Last night we had one on resiliency. We have some coming up on civility, drug abuse, drug use. We've got to be talking about these situations and issues in order to get a handle on it and move our community forward.
Thank you. We are now going to transition into a very important question. Is your organization having success in meeting goals for diversity, inclusiveness, and equity, DEI? We're going to start with President Denson.
Yes, I'm very proud of the fact that DMAC has started a strategic diversity planning process well before George Floyd, which was a wake-up call for many organizations. I mentioned earlier, Iowa is becoming more diverse, and there are a number of communities and schools in Iowa that would not exist but for the increasing diversity in their communities. So it becomes more and more exciting. So as part of our journey, our number one look is to make sure that we're hiring more faculty and staff that resemble the students that we're recruiting and bringing into our classrooms. Last year, 40% of our hires were diverse. This year, it's 38% as of now, and it was really pretty easy. If you apply to DMAC, there's an initial screening, so anybody who's not qualified drops off, everybody else is in the pool. Then we get a screening committee that looks at that group and tries to pick 4 or 5. Well, if they get to the 4 or 5 and there's not a person of diversity, we look at the next 5 and say, is there a diverse population in that top 10 that have been selected? And then we say, okay, you're going to interview all 10. It takes a little bit more time, but the application interview process is not perfect. And it's people that submit a paper application, they don't always get fully appreciated for all the skills that they bring. So a number of times this past year, once we interviewed the 10, and we were surprised at a lot of the ones that didn't make the initial cut, how well they've done, and we're bringing them into the institution. And so we're also looking at all of our data for all of our students. We want every student population to be equally successful and to make sure that we're providing services to them that help them to achieve the goals, graduate on time, et cetera. So it's just paying a lot more attention to what we're doing. And it's great to walk into our urban campus, which I mentioned is the first majority students of Colorado College University in the state, or on our other campus and just see some of the diversity in the population that comes from those communities.
Thank you. Okay, Associate Superintendent Hawkins, tell us about Ames Community School.
Happy to. Thank you. Likewise, there's really good work happening in the Ames Community School District around our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Some of the work has been talked about in our board meetings about curriculum screening processes or professional development opportunities that we're providing to our district. If you listen to some of our recent board meetings, you might have heard our board recently adopt a definition of educational equity for our district so that we have a common language for what does it mean for our students to receive the benefits and opportunities of our district. And yet, as I alluded to in the very first answer that I gave, we do have students experiencing our system differently and getting different results from our system. So the question about are we getting the results we desire yet, I would have to answer no, right? Our goal and what we strive for in this plan is to get results from the work. There's good work occurring that I'm very excited about. There's plans for future work to occur, but we have not realized the results of that when it comes to the data that we track around achievement, behavior, attendance, so on and so forth. And so while those gaps exist, and we will continue to strive to work towards them, we haven't realized the results of our work just quite yet.
Thank you. Supervisor Faisal.
Yeah, I want to say thank you for this question because work happens slowly and oftentimes more slowly than we would like. We're having more conversations. We are moving in the right direction, but not quite as quickly as I personally would like. As a white passing person of color, I feel a tremendous amount of responsibility to ensure that we're having the conversations that we need to be having, and that I am asking who's not here or whose voice are we not hearing right now when I'm not hearing it asked by others. I would like to say we're a lot further along than we are. And I agree, there's a lot of work to do. We have taken some steps. We are formally recognizing Martin Luther King Day as a county holiday now. We are formally recognizing Juneteenth as a county holiday now. We are putting our money where our mouth is and we're financially sponsoring events, and that feels really good, but it feels like a very cosmetic step to the really hard work that we still have to do. We have formed a DEI committee for the county, and I am thrilled to say there are lots of department heads and elected officials who are part of that committee, as well as our staff and employees, because it's important that we have everybody's voice at the table. We're starting to ask questions about our hiring techniques and policies, and where are we attracting people from, and what are people's experiences when they come for services in any of our county departments and offices. And I'm saying thank you for the question, because I would like to say we were a lot farther along this year than we were last year when I was asked this question, and we're not farther along. I know I'm out of time, but I just kind of have to say that we need to move faster, and I appreciate you continuing to hold everyone accountable for that work. So thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Okay. Thank you. Same question, Provost Wickert.
No, thank you. Very, very critical and important question. And I think the top line answer is we can always do more, and there is always more to be done. And every day we learn more about what we need to do. I think we are making progress, and some of that is structural. This is a articulated priority of President Winterstein in our new strategic plan to be a university that cultivates open and respectful expression of ideas and celebrating the richness of diversity and respect for everyone on campus. Our principles of community are a framework. You'll see banners from posts around campus, and you'll hear us speak a lot about our principles of community on student orientation and employee orientations as well, fostering that campus climate. Our new Vice President of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, Sharon Perry Fancini, has really hit the ground running and is a great addition to our team as well. But it really is a critical challenge for us at the university. I will tell you some of the lessons I've learned and stories I've heard from students are quite shocking, actually, in learning about their lived experience. And I think it motivates our faculty and staff on campus to be able to do more. We created an initiative that I'm very proud of called the Inclusive Classroom Initiative. It's required training of every faculty member in every department on campus every year on different aspects of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And writ broadly for adult learners who are coming back to campus after a career and they're in a room with a bunch of 18-year-olds, to veterans who are returning home and have their own lived experience and settling into, let's say, the looser structure of a university than what they may be interested in. Our students are increasingly diverse. Our freshman class this year is the most diverse we've ever had. 25% of our students on campus are either multicultural or international. 23% of our students are the first in their families to go to college. And every day we learn new things we need to do to be able to support their success. On the faculty side, we work very hard, as President Denchen mentioned, to be able to recruit diverse faculty, particularly in STEM areas. There's a lot we're trying to do in that area as well. But in addition to hiring diverse faculty and staff from all walks of life, all socioeconomic backgrounds, all lived experiences, retaining them turns out to be an even more critical challenge. And that is something that we can all commit to in making Ames and Story County a welcoming environment for people to stay here once we're successful in recruiting them. Critical issue. Thank you for highlighting this point.
Thank you. Mayor Hala.
Well, full disclosure, I may go longer than 2 minutes because this is really an important topic, but I have 7 points I'd like to highlight, but this just came to me. I make this comment at the MLK celebration, every year. You need to hold us accountable. We are leaders in the community. But until each one of us really values and takes responsibility for reaching out to building friendships and relationships with people that you don't know and who are not like you, we can do all the stuff you want, but we're not going to get anywhere, are we? So I encourage my grandkids, I encourage my kids, I encourage people I come in contact with, and I believe that we're trying to do the same thing but we could check all the boxes up here and get all these numbers, but the point is, if we're not doing things in our own neighborhoods, in our own faith communities, and who you rub shoulders with, we're not going to get anywhere. It's the same thing with the climate action plans, and a lot of things that go on, unless we're really taking responsibility. So I would encourage everybody, and I believe that all of you probably are committed to that, but the point is, we got to lead by example in our own homes and in our own relationships. So we can articulate what we're doing, and I know that all these organizations are highly committed to it, but it's not going to be enough unless we all really get into get into the trenches and work together. So, with that, thank you. Thank you. I said RPAC. I meant to say ARCH in my last comments. RPAC was just created, and it is the most diverse commission that we have in the city. It's the Ames Resident Police Advisory Committee. I see your 30 seconds. I'm going to take a personal privilege and go a little longer. But anyway, but we have people from different age groups, different nationalities, and it is working extremely well. And it meets with Chief Huff, and they're going through and they're looking at policy and they're going through training, and he is thrilled at how that's working. We have increased diversity in city boards and commissions. It's something I look at very carefully when applications come in. There is an open, it's open right now for applications, so if you know people who are from different nationalities, different skin color, whatever, please encourage them to apply online. We have lots of different opportunities. We help sponsor and participate in the Symposium for Building Inclusive Organizations. We participate fully in the MLK celebration, and we have a number of our staff and council members that serve on that advisory and planning committee. We take it very seriously. Our library focuses on diverse topics during the year. Next month we got Black History Month. There's going to be a lot of events as well as things on display. We are working to recruit and fill a new DEI coordinator position on city staff. We want a leadership position. And the city manager has created an internal DEI committee made up of employees from various departments that will work with that coordinator once hired to review all of our policies, recruitment, and promotion processes to make sure we are continuing to build an inclusive city organization. So thank you for the privilege.
Thank you. Okay, Vice President Deerdorf.
Yes, thank you for this important question, and I'm going to belabor it a little bit more. This is certainly a journey. We are not perfect, and sometimes that journey goes too slow. So I do agree with that. But I am proud of the work that Mary Greeley Medical Center is doing as it relates to equity, diversity, and inclusion. As I looked back or thought back on the last 10 years or so, we were doing bias education, racism education. We were one of the first hospitals to sign the Iowa Hospital Association Pledge of Diversity, so I'm very proud of that, but it wasn't enough. So June 2020, we put a call out to our staff and said, hey, we're thinking of starting a DEI committee. Who wants to be involved? We have 64 plus staff on that committee right now, and they're doing tremendous work, and they're making an impact. However, this is such a huge topic with so many different fingers that we soon got overwhelmed with the amount of stuff that we should and could be doing. And so thankfully, the American Hospital Association came out recently and gave us some framework to work from. So there's an assessment that we took about a year ago, and we're really focusing on 6 different areas right now as it relates to that framework. Those areas are providing culturally appropriate patient care. So we want to make sure when a patient walks in our door, we understand their needs, both medically and culturally, and how do we do that effectively. We want to make sure that we have an equitable and inclusive policies for all of our staff that work within our buildings. We need to continue to collect our data and understand that information and data. We're very good at collecting information, but what do we do with that information? So that's where we're trying to dig through and figure out right now. We want to make sure that we have diverse representation in our leadership structure and within our own governance boards. Our Board of Trustees is incredibly dedicated to the DEI effort of the organization, so we certainly have top-down support for this. The fifth one is community collaboration for all of these solutions. We can't do it alone. These are great partnerships, as well as, I'm sure many of you, in what we're doing right now at the medical center, and then making sure that we have shared accountability. So to or Mayor Hala, this is all.
Doctor's fine.
Yeah, doctor, all right. It's all of our responsibility, and we need to hold each other accountable. So thank you for the important question.
Thank you. This next question is going to take us to the fiscal realities from our lofty goals. How is your organization working to balance your current and upcoming budgets during this inflationary time? And we'll start with Associate Superintendent Hawkins.
Thank you very much. Well, as I begin, I'd like to first say thank you to Senator Cornbach. I know you're working right now on school funding stuff, fighting the good fight for us, so I'll begin with a quick thank you. I appreciate that very much. Largely the funding of public schools, including Ames Community School District, is funded based upon the number of students that come in the door. So rather than inflation, student enrollment and population is what really drives and dictates our funding structure. As we reported in the fall, we did see a lower number of students come in this year, and so those will present some challenges for us as we enter the spring. But for the most part, our enrollment history has been really steady and on an upward climb. Our demographer would indicate that we should anticipate a steady and slightly upward climb. Fortunately, throughout the process of the last couple of years, we've received some federal assistance, both in the form of ESSER as well as in federal assistance to our nutrition program. So we've been able to use that to make sure that cost of student meals and things like that stay low. I know our CFO, if she was here, would want me to express our pride as a system in being able to maintain or lower our tax rates over these several years. I know that's a priority for our community and our board. At least according to our CFO, I don't know that I saw that at the gas station the last time I went there, but according to her, the costs that are out of control with the district, such as utilities and gasoline, have fallen back into normal cost range, so we can maintain that budget.
Not willing to own that, huh?
Oh, well, again, it felt like a lot when I went to maybe it's different.
Thank you. Supervisor Faisal.
So we just made it through all of our budget work sessions, and there's a lot of uncertainty right now with what may be coming, changes at the State House. So we're looking at taking the responsibilities that we know we have to maintain our county services, our roads, our bridges, and the kind of extra. We're just pushing pause for right now and just waiting to see what will happen next. The costs for everything are increasing. We just had a bid opening for a bridge that was it was $150,000 more than the re-estimated cost that was re-estimated up $200 and some thousand. So just a lot of uncertainty and questions about what we'll be looking at in the next year or so. So just focused on, fortunately, the county's in really good financial shape right now. We've got good ending fund balances. So we're in a good place, and pushing pause might not make some projects very happy, but it's okay, we'll get there, and the important things will continue to happen, and all those things, like Mayor Hala said, that you don't notice, they'll keep happening because that's our job, and that's what we're here to do. So,
thank you, Provost Wickert.
Well, this is a hard challenge at any time, but a particularly hard challenge now. I think just like everybody's mentioning up here, the superintendent's comments, we see the effects of inflation on our capital projects, whether it's the veterinary diagnostic lab that's being constructed out in the vet med complex, or renovation of LeBaron Hall. The capital facility costs are just going through the roof. We're also seeing increase in costs for food and our dining services. The difficulty of being able to continue providing competitive salaries for our talented faculty and staff. We do take an all funds approach to budgeting at the university. And so we think about revenue from tuition, which is our largest revenue source, revenue from external research, which is our second largest source, state appropriations, which is our third largest source, and then private gifts. And so we think about those different sources of funds in an all funds budgeting approach. You know, one side of the coin is to make reductions in areas where demand is going down, low enrollment classes, low enrolled majors. We're taking $15 million over the next 3 years out of some of our academic programs in order to trim the ones of lower demand, but at the other side of the coin, being able to invest in areas of growth. And so my philosophy is really, we don't spend enough time focusing on growing the pie at the university, and like any business, seeking out new markets and new products. Very excited by work we're doing on what I like to call degrees of the future, going to where student interest is and where employer interest is, being demand-driven in what we offer in our curriculum. So new degrees in artificial intelligence, in healthcare management, in human resources management, in biomedical engineering, in climate science. You know, these are cutting-edge areas that other universities now are starting to copy us on. So being able to do that, I think, will be very critical for us. In January here, we launched a new venture called Iowa State Online. It'll be a single portal, a front door for anyone, but particularly in the Midwest region, to take classes and programs online in a very streamlined, single-branded, student-centric way. We're going to be offering what are called stackable micro-credentials. If you don't know what those are, it just means you're over the age of 20. But we're going to be doing a lot of that too.
Thank you. Mayor Hala.
Well, I could talk on this all day too. Unlike the federal government, once we pass a budget and once that levy rate gets set, we can't go over it. We don't raise our debt limit. So what we have to do is once that's passed and adopted, and right now we have to have it filed with the state by March 31st, and then they go ahead and calculate your property taxes. You know, we're done for the year, so we can't go over that. So you have to do some shuffling. And like everyone else has said, our capital improvement projects are just going crazy. And so what is happening is that there's a 5-year capital improvement plan. The notebook's about that thick. You should, if you want to have some time, look through it. It's very intriguing. And projecting out for a current year on out 4 more years. And what happens is that when projects come in over budget, projects get delayed or they get canceled. And so we're actually having to reduce some of the future projects because of the fact that costs are going up. But we also can't go ahead and say, oh, we'll just go ahead and amend our budget and go way over this year. We can't do that. We're constrained by, you know, rightfully so, by the Code of Iowa. So that means that sometimes if there's some cost savings someplace else, we go ahead and try and move that around while still staying under, you know, that levy rate. I can't say enough about our city manager, our finance director, their department, and all the department has to do an amazing job of basically working through to try and help us continue moving things forward. But it is a real challenge because we want to continue to give, you know, great services and great projects. And interestingly enough, when we do our citizen satisfaction survey, which is like we're in our 40th year, the most important issue to people who respond, which includes students and year-round residents, is streets. They want streets maintained, they want the potholes fixed, and I think it is the highest, and it has consistently been the highest. And so we invest $10 to $12, $14 million a year in that. But as those prices go up, it means we can't do as much. So we have to do some adjustment. So it's not necessarily, it's out of our control. But I'm sympathetic to Supervisor Feisel. You know, yeah, we're seeing things come in and they really hurt.
Thank you. Vice President Deardorff.
Yeah, it certainly is a challenging time for everyone. For Mary Greeley, and certainly within healthcare, just like every other industry, staffing costs are rising pretty significantly. For the healthcare system, Travelers has been in the news. You've all heard about it. At Mary Greeley, in 2020, we had an all-time high of travel staff within our facility. We had 45 full-time employees at the hospital in a travel capacity. So typically they work about 12 or 16-week terms, and we sign contracts with them Towards the height of our travelers, certainly within healthcare, we were reaching $180 an hour. We were spending over $1 million a month on just these travel staff. And so that was a huge hit to our budget. It was never budgeted, it was not planned for, but we still needed to care for all of you that walked into our door. So I'm happy to say that we've worked on recruitment, retention. We've been very successful. So at this point, we have 2 travelers within our facility in needed positions. So that cost has been coming down, but staff cost in general, we've seen a 20 to 30% increase in just staffing cost over the last few years. When you add the equipment and supply chain costs, we're seeing an average of about 40% increase with those. And our payers, or our funding source, is getting paid by Blue Cross, by Medicare, Medicaid. We're getting an average of 2 to 4% increase every year for those. And so the math just doesn't add up. So we need to do things differently. And this is where, kind of similar to many of these organizations, we've paused some of our capital projects. We would expect for healthcare, like $425 a square foot was pretty typical for our industry on what we would expect some of these construction costs. When we just went out, it was close to $900 a square foot. So that's just unwise. We cannot do that with our resources. So we are pausing some of these projects until everything comes back down into where we would expect. And then we're getting out to our employees. So help us. We're doing waste walks within our department. What do you as an employee do each and every day that you just don't need to do anymore? Like, don't work harder. Do you use that piece of equipment? Do you need that piece of equipment? And we're giving out little prizes. So if you find something within your department that can save us money, we're kind of rewarding that type of behavior as well. So, thank you.
Denson.
Mr. Denson.
Yeah, 84% of our operating budget is on people. And the thing that we're most critical of ourselves is we have a high reliance on part-time individuals. The bad thing about it is we're not able to build the kind of culture that we can with full-time faculty and staff. But on the positive side, it does allow us a lot of flexibility as we deal with enrollment declines during COVID coming back right now. So we're able to really manage personnel kind of ahead of the curve, which has given us a lot of good flexibility. 52% of our operating budget is tuition. We've got the lowest tuition in the state, but still our students are paying more than we'd hope they would have to pay as a part of our operating budget. 26% of our budget comes from the state, 8% from property tax. And I hope I mentioned that we've got the lowest property tax levy of any of the 15 community colleges. And then the other 16% is contracts, grants, et cetera. So we manage very tight. I love this idea of waste walks. They'd probably start with my office. But I mean, these are tight times, and we're anxiously watching the legislature. I mean, the property tax is only 8% of our budget, but 8% is still a pretty big number. And it's very important. So as we look at the future, I mean, I heard a rumor that the legislature was looking at adjusting this past year's valuations. It's a little bit late in the game now. All the counties have done their assessments. We've set our budget. Dealing with the future, we can. Going backwards would be problematic, but you know, we'll have to do what we have to do. So,
Thank you. Our next question has to do with collaborations. All of you have worked together on many different issues, be it in public health, college credit, job training, and others. Can you share with us a present challenge or success that specifically involves residents of Ames and Story County? And we're going to start with Supervisor Faisal.
Ooh, I was hoping I'd get this one first. Okay. Collaboration. So emergency management is an excellent example of collaboration. They just finished working on their strategic plan. That's a collaboration of the county, the cities, all of our law enforcement agencies and our emergency responders, and they're all out there planning for and doing the work to keep everyone safe. So I just have to hat tip to everyone on the emergency management commission and all the hard work that they do. Another example of collaboration is all of the work that we've put into on the Ames Urban Fringe Plan. There has been a tremendous amount of community outreach, listening sessions, private meetings with citizens, and I mean hours and hours, I'm telling you. And we're getting closer and closer. But it will allow us to work even better together. So it's been a long, hard walk, but we're working on it, and we'll get there because we have amazing relationships. Storycom is complete. The emergency response program, the collaboration between, a historic collaboration, by the way, between Story County, City of Ames, Iowa State University, and many others to get the emergency towers, 911 towers up, and everyone communicating together so we have better emergency response. Let me see, our trails system. I know our Story County Conservation is working with the City of Ames on their bike ped plan. We've been working with Ames Chamber of Commerce, supporting their training, their retraining program. So working with DMAC and the hospital and City of Ames and many employers around town to make sure that we're helping to grow that new group of employees. I'm out of time, but thank you.
Thank you. Provost Wickert.
Yeah, this is a fun question to talk about the collaborations, and I can just look down the table here, and I'd like to just highlight some of the things that we all do together. I think as both President Dents and I mentioned earlier, Iowa State and DMAC partner on so many things. The DMAC ISU Connect program to make it simpler for students to transfer, the Cyber Hub, which is helping to produce an educated cyber workforce in the state of Iowa. So just great collaborations there. Thank you, Rob, for that. We work very closely with the Ames Community School District, and I'd like to thank Jeff and Superintendent Lawson and for all the work that we do together with the city. You know, this past year we just had fantastic collaboration with the mayor and Chief Huff on the first ever Cyclone Welcome Weekend. The idea was to create safe, healthy activities for students as they return to campus on that Saturday night before classes start. That was a real success. Thank you, Mayor, for that, and thank you for arranging the rainy weather. That definitely made things a lot smoother, too. And with healthcare providers like Mary Greeley and McFarland, gosh, all the work we did together during the pandemic on testing and vaccinations, but also critically to support our academic programs at the university, like our new Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree. And all of the work we do together with the county, with the chamber, with the Iowa Business Council to create a vibrant economy here in central Iowa. You know, something that you all know about that's going to be coming up that we'll be celebrating, you know, here in a couple years will be SciTown. Just a great opportunity to make our community even better place to live, work, and play. Great for our students, our campus, great for the community. Extending President Hilton's vision of what the Iowa State Center can be, and also really doubling down on investments in the performing arts and making sure that we can maintain so competitive in that critical area. So collaborations are, I would say, you know, the funnest, one of the funnest things that I get to do.
Thank you. Mayor Heya.
Yeah, I would agree with Dr. Wickert. This is a thoroughly enjoyable topic. I think last year I talked about the fact that Story County and all the mayors in Story County during COVID became BFFs. On Thursday nights, we actually had an hour-long Zoom call we started like in April of 2020 and then went through May of 2021, then we continued off and on. But it included representatives from Mary Greeley, Public Health, Story County Supervisors. We had, we had Aaron Baldwin and Chief Newton from the Iowa State. and all the mayors. And I would say this, is that we're still reaping the benefits from that, because now the supervisors are leading and asking the mayors to come together and meet with them and legislators. So again, this sounds like, well, yeah, well, what do you expect? Well, what you expect is that doesn't happen in virtually any other counties or cities. I mean, it's just, if you're getting the sense of a flow and a synergy, it exists because all the leaders here are committed to that, and they want to communicate, and we're going to get things done. And we want Ames and Story County to be successful. And I keep saying, I want Nevada successful. I want Story City successful. Well, why? You're an Ames mayor. Well, because if they're successful, we're all successful. And the same for Iowa State. We want Iowa State to be successful because it benefits the community of Ames, but they need Ames to be successful. So there's a lot of synergy and partnerships, and it's because all the leaders at the top are committed to it. Amber was nudging me, saying, "Hey, you got all of mine." And I'm gonna, so, and I'm just going to highlight one of them. And I just mentioned Arch again. The foundation, I think, put in about $70,000 to help get the equipment. But thanks to Mary Greeley Medical Center, they're actually paying for salaries. And so they're also going to bridge the difference between April and July 1. But it's a very, very important program, and so the foundation has asked the City of Ames, and the council is going to be considering it in the budget, to fund half of it for the coming year, and it's $154,000. And that's just for 2 people full-time, and it's worth every penny of it, but it's a lot of money. And so if we want to actually see that get expanded further and go outside of the City of Ames, but it's going to take a big investment. But that's just an example of partnership, conversation. And I know that it's something that if you have a need for it, you would really greatly appreciate it. I know that our residents are already expressing great appreciation for it.
Thank you. Vice President Deardorff.
Yes, thank you. So through the pandemic, you probably, if you've seen me talk, you heard me say, never waste a good crisis. Yeah. And so the pandemic was a crisis, but we learned a lot of things, and we really came together as a community during the pandemic. So we had daily, sometimes hourly meetings with all of these organizations just to make sure that we understood what the other needs were. And through that, we created some really fantastic things. So the ARCH program, it's incredible. It started in October, and if you're not familiar with it, if you're in a mental health crisis and you just don't know what to do, you're going to pick up the phone, you're going to call 911. Prior to ARCH, you would have a uniformed officer and a paramedic, lights and sirens blaring, cop car, ambulance show up at your house or at the school. It's traumatic. And so now what happens is the dispatcher can ask a set of questions, and instead they dispatch in a van, no lights, no sirens, as a social worker and a paramedic. The social worker is going to provide the services that that individual needs, and the paramedic can assess for any medical needs. So we have transferred a few to the emergency department, but otherwise these individuals are staying within their homes and getting the care that they need from things the community already has, support that the community already has. We're just directing them to the right place. And that ARCH program came out of a Community Health Steering Committee that was started in 2020, and it's a collaboration of Mary Greeley Medical Center, the City of Ames, Mayor, Board of Supervisors, Iowa State University, the United Way of Story County, Heartland Services. I could go on, but it's a collaboration of all these very important organizations to make our community excellent. And we're following a framework, Community of Excellence. You're going to hear about it more. I would love to come and speak to you more about it, but this is really the power of our community coming together, and ARCH is just one of the first of many things that we can offer.
Thank you. President Denson?
Yeah, I would echo many of the things that Jonathan and others have said. It's a very collaborative community, but I can also sum up collaboration in 4 words: we love Mary Greeley. You know, they came to us with their health needs, but not only did they come to us saying, here's what we want, they came to us and saying, here's how we can help. Our biggest need is finding healthcare professionals to work with our students. Our healthcare programs are our second largest program, next to 2-year college transfers. So we need the companies to help us, because we cannot do it alone. We've got to work together. So again, the collaboration has made us strong.
Thank you. Associate Superintendent Hawkins.
Yeah, thank you. As you can maybe tell from the comments of the other panelists, Ames Community School District is extremely lucky, right? So not every place, not every school district has a Research One institution in its backyard. Not every place has not just a hospital, but a hospital like Mary Greeley who really wants to embrace a partnership, right? So we're in a very lucky place as a district, and I certainly want to say thank you to the great partners at this table for the work we've done. You've heard some of the panelists today talk about the work we're doing together to support mental health needs, both in our schools and in our community. Many of us around the table have been sitting together over the course of the last several months talking about student safety and safety management plans. Of course, we work together on educational efforts, whether that's providing opportunities for students or providing opportunities for young adults who are learning to be teachers, right? And so we're very fortunate to have some relationships where we get to help with that. DMAC and the school district partner together to help employ a counselor, so we get extra counseling support at our high school as a result of that collaboration. And there's other partnerships within the community and room that we really value, right? So I got to sit at a table right before this started with someone who's working with Raising Readers, who helps with our summer school program, and I know our United Way partners are sitting in the room today where we work together to serve our community. So just a very lucky place to be a school leader in a place where the community is so invested in what we do, and we have the opportunity to make the lives better for our kids and improve our community through it. So thank you to everyone here for the work you do with the district.
Thank you. Starting with this table and looking around the room, this might be the most important question. How does your organization foster and encourage future community leaders? And in the interest of time, I ask you to keep your remarks to 1 minute or so. Start with you, Provost Wickert.
You want a faculty member to answer in less than 1 minute? Okay, that's a... Well, what I'd say is I think the question is great, and I think it really goes to the heart of what a university does. You know, a university like Iowa State, you know, founded to educate young men and young women to have successful lives and contribute, you know, to a civil society. So fundamentally, educating leaders is sort of what we do at a university. And I'm delighted whether you look at the Ames School Board or City Council or Board of Supervisors, you're going to see current employees or alums serving those capacities. You know, when I talk to a student, I always say, I know you're going to class, you know, maybe. What are you doing outside of class? Why are you taking advantage? And our students are highly engaged at Iowa State in leadership opportunities, whether it's with the solar car, time, there you go, boom, I'm done on time. But our students learn outside the classroom, and that helps them be successful as future leaders.
Thank you. Mayor Hala.
Yeah, the first opportunity is boards and commissions, and I had the honor of serving on the transit board for 4 years. I just saw how this university and the city work together. We have amazing public transportation. So I encourage people who are interested in getting involved in the community and building leadership skills is get involved. If you're getting this shameless plug, please apply, please apply, please apply. Encourage others to apply, but it's a great opportunity, and I know a lot of the council members, current council members, were either on a board or commission, and one actually served on a school board. So I think the point is that service is a great opportunity. Secondly is I enjoy speaking at different leadership group meetings as well, so we're trying to encourage and foster that. And the third is internally, the City of Ames exposes our employees to extensive leadership training curriculum to prepare them for leadership position in the city organization. And I'm always asking the question, what's our succession plan? What's our transition plan? Because you need to be thinking through, because of the workforce situation, who is going to be the next person in that position. So it's a important aspect, and we want to see that. And last one I'll mention, student government. We are very involved in meeting with student government. We have an ex officio, serve on council, and just trying to tap into the university.
Thank you. Vice President Deardorff.
I'm glad I only have a minute because I struggled to answer this question. And as I reflected on that, I think in healthcare, individuals that are drawn to our organization just inherently want to help others. And so it's inherent to who we are as an organization. But as I look back, it's part of each and every one of our leaders' job descriptions. It's an expectation that they get out into our community and serve others. And so we do it through job descriptions. We certainly do it through our culture. We allow our employees for things like days of caring, for helping others within the community. We want our staff to get out and help others. So if you look at the Iowa Games, you'll see the Mary Greeley staff helping support that medically and just being part of that organization. So I think it's just who we are as an organization.
Thank you. President Denson.
Yeah, we take the word community in our title, Community College, very seriously. We're very engaged in all the chambers, business organizations throughout our entire district, and we encourage our faculty and staff not only to become involved, but to take leadership positions throughout their communities. And it's one of the reasons we're successful. Our board members, I mean, they come to me and say, how can they be more involved in the districts that they represent to make sure that they understand what those districts want as they talk to what DMAC can do. So it's a, you know, we're strong because we try to know what you need at the same time you believe you need it.
Thank you. Associate Superintendent Hawkins.
Yeah, I think some of my fellow panelists have said it really well, right? Sorry, I need my glasses here. This is who we are as an organization, right, is what we heard. And Dr. Wickert talked about the pride he has in seeing alumni from the school serve in leadership positions. It's really fantastic in my role to get to see teachers and other community members that are so proud of being an Ames High graduate. But whether we do that through our student clubs and opportunities to get kids connected with leaders within our community. I'm extremely proud that our board just adopted a process where we have student school board representatives now, so we have students sitting at the table getting to experience and grow as leaders as well as keep us informed about the student perspective. But again, you said it really well. It's who we are as an organization to grow the next leaders for our community.
Thank you. Superintendent Faisal.
Ooh, I got a new title. Yeah, so we have an internal county training program that is revised every single year to make sure we're providing as many opportunities as possible to our employees. We encourage them to serve on our internal committees and work groups, but we also encourage them to participate in different events around the community. We also love supporting the Day of Caring and provide that opportunity to our employees. We participate in Leadership Ames and Leadership Nevada events, and which is always exciting, and we encourage our employees to participate in Leadership Nevada. We historically have provided 2 scholarships for county employees to participate in Leadership Nevada every cycle. Citizens Academy, our sheriff's office runs a county Citizens Academy every year. I know there's one in Ames as well, which is a fantastic opportunity. And we also just try to get out in the community as much as we can and speak as often as we can. I have been in some conversations about a youth leadership academy, hopefully soon. So.
Thank you. Well, that's going to conclude for us today, and Linda's going to finish us up. But on behalf of the KHOI board and staff, I want to thank you all for your participation, and of course for the participation of our audience in giving their time for being here. Thank you.
So in conclusion, on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Ames and Story County, we want to thank you for attending our 2023 State of the Community event. There is a questionnaire, a blue sheet of paper on every table. We ask that you fill it out and leave it on the table. And there's also a brochure on the table about our legislative representatives. So please be sure and take that, as well as a schedule from KHOI Radio. So please take those with you. We look forward to seeing you next year, and have a wonderful weekend. Thank you.